This is a minute for the time.
You're actually live. You're live on YouTube, actually. Yes, but you're live on YouTube already. And we have a few guests that are already online. Yes, but you're live on YouTube already. And we have a few guests that are already online.
Right, sir.
Okay, good evening, everyone that has joined us at the moment. We thank you for joining us for this first edition of the Strategic Leadership Roundtable. Today, we are going to discuss a bit on a topic that is very interesting for this country. It has led to a lot of conflicts within the nation. But today, what we are going to do is to look at how we're going to leverage on the cattle value chain in order to make our economy better. While in this country, the cattle has become a very a subject for conflict within people in Nigeria, in other countries such as Netherlands and New Zealand, we found that they have leveraged on it to create a good economy out of it. Records from the World Bank shows that the dairy industry is worth about 28 billion US dollars. That is, in Naira terms, 13 trillion US Naira. New Zealand alone, as at last year, did exports of milk alone of about 10 million US dollars, which is about 4.9 billion Naira. Netherlands also has a very big share in it. Milk alone, they exported up to 8.7 million US dollars, which is equivalent to about $4.2 billion. Here, we have looked at, we have gone more to the conflict side of things. And instead of us to, look at how we will leverage on that big economy in order to get some kind of benefit out of it, we don't want to do that. So today, I have 4 discussants here. One is still on his way, who are going to put us through in the cattle value chain so that we can see how Nigeria can develop the value chain. This broadcast or this discussion is important for policymakers to see how they can shape policy in order to take us out of the problem that we're having now. And then community leaders also, in order to help them to understand that the cattle is actually a business that all of us can leverage on in order to have better life. Here I have Mr. Sadiq, who is a businessman. He's a historian, a journalist, he's a travel professional, and is also a development and policy analyst. Mr. Sadiq, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. I also have here Ronke.
The network.
Mrs. Ronke.
Let's just hold on for a while. We'll meet up. We'll keep up. Just the network, which is that's a common thing here. We'll just be patient, please.
Yeah, we have here also Mrs. Ronke, who has an MBA. She has a master's in leadership studies. She's currently doing a doctorate in leadership and strategic studies. I also forgot to say that Sadiq also is doing his doctorate in leadership and strategic studies. Mr. Tao will join us in a few minutes. He has a BSc in accounting. He has a degree in development studies and a host of other things. He's also currently pursuing his doctorate degree in leadership and strategic studies. So the first person that is going to open up this conversation is Mrs. Ronke. Can you just give us an overview of how the cattle business is managed in developed and some other developing countries?
Well,
thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Datong. You're welcome, Mr. Sadiq. And I know that Mr. Tao will soon join us. Well, looking at other countries, just like you've mentioned before, we talk about the New Zealand, we talk about Australia, we talk about the South American, and we talk about even Texas. You know, Texas, that's what they are even into. And Austria, I will not forget about that too, because those are countries that have really gone far in this business. And Brazil, if I won't forget about them too. I've really done so much extensive research on them, and they've really gone far in this business. Now, in the chains of business that is into cattle itself, just like we have in our country, we talk about the petroleum, other byproducts that are attached to petroleum. That's what we have for cattle. That we've not really like.
Oh, sorry. I think we lost her. Ronke, are you online? Are you still there? Are you there, Ronke? Sorry, we have some issue. Maybe she may be having issues with her internet. Mr. Rotimi.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know whether you can take up from there. It looks like we lost her.
Okay. She was discussing.
Okay, she's even back. She's even back.
Sorry.
She's back.
Okay. I think the network is really fluctuating. So sorry about that.
Correct.
So I just gave a list of the countries that I have already done a lot of research on. And these countries we talk about the height and skin on cattle. Aside the beef, we have the milk. In the milk itself, we have what we call the cheese, the butter. That's under the milk itself. Then we have even the horns is another side of businesses, because they use them for other would I call them, they are being burnt to be used for the poultry. Then even the blood itself is used for the poultry. Then we have their dungs. Their dungs are being used for manure for the farmers. So you find out that the cattle has so much thing for us if we can really delve into it to use.
Yeah, so thank you very much,
Yes.
Ronke, for this opening. Mr. Sadiq, maybe you will come in here now. Does the cattle business really have any potential to contribute significantly to our economy?
Yes, I must agree that the livestock business is vital to our survival. It's also vital to increment in our economy. And we need to understand that it's a vital part of agricultural development. Over time, this country, from independence, we have concentrated more on the farm and crop production of livestock production. And livestock is a major determinant of even being healthy, providing manuals, providing resources. In countries like Ethiopia, it contributes about 20% to GDP. So, and coming back up here in Nigeria, a livestock department has been created as far back as 1913 in Zaria. And part of the mandate for that department was to even do a census, a surveillance of diseases of cattle, livestock in Nigeria. We had the first institute for veterinary research in Vom, Jos, which was an offshoot of that livestock department in Zaria. It has been established since 1924. It's about 100-year-old. And these are things that ordinarily as a country we should have inherited and built upon. That particular structure has been producing vaccines since 1924. It was a hub for the whole of West Africa for Rinderpest serum and other vaccines used across the continent. But somewhere along the line, we lost touch with reality. We did not allow modernity to take place in a lot of our sphere of endeavor. So cattle production, cattle herding became one of them. So we really had challenges. We were not able to incorporate modern technologies into the way we do things. And we remain with the old style of moving cattle from place to place. That is not the way, that's not the way out. And by so doing, we have lost a lot in terms of the value chain. There are a lot of industries that are supposed to depend on this livestock business. But we shun them. We don't give it the necessary importance that it deserves. So as a country, we need to have a second look at it. That particular institute I mentioned has one of its mandates to produce intermediate manpower in veterinary laboratory technology, animal health, and production technology. Graduates are all over the place. Graduates are not employing them. They're not providing the necessary ambience for them to work. So I hope you get my views. This is the basis that the government has been able to put together over 20 years. And we have not been able to leverage this infrastructure, especially for development.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sadiq. We just got to bring up Mr. Tar just here now. He was having some challenges joining. However, you're coming at the right time when we want to ask you a question. Can you just bring us into perspective? What are some of the challenges that we have in this country with the cattle value chain? Having mentioned all the possibilities within the cattle business, the different products that we make from them. I think there's some noise from your side.
Yeah.
Probably your headphone is making that noise. Yeah. So having mentioned all the various, yes, you are fine now. Thank you. Yeah. So having mentioned all the different products that can come from the cattle value chain, as Mr. Sadiq was talking about, you have research institutes where you can develop new products, vaccines. We have a big market that extends throughout West Africa. In fact, the country had even taken advantage of that to create some institutes like the National Veterinary Institute in Jos Plateau. So what do you think are the challenges of the, I'm talking to Tar now, what do you think are the challenges that are related to the cattle business, and how do you think we can have the government to improve on the business in this country? Yes, Tar, can you hear me?
I think I think his network is seasoned.
Yeah, thank you, Dalom, if you can hear me clearly.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can
I
hear
can
you.
hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear me? You can hear me now.
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So what I'm saying is in Nigeria, let me start answering with giving analysis of what is in Nigeria, and in each situation, I will link it to app. And in Nigeria, at 1970, we had about 8.8 million heads of cattle. And today, in 2019, we have about 20.6 million heads of cattle, which shows that our breeding rate of cattle in Nigeria is about 1.6 or 1.7%. Meaning, Nigeria is not able to breed the number of cattle that would take care of even the local consumption. And so there's a challenge of cattle. And when there's a challenge with the breeding of cattle in Nigeria, it will be difficult for us to meet the local demand. And so we will encourage the government of Nigeria to lay serious emphasis
Oh, sorry, we lost her again. Yeah, we lost her again. Ta, can you hear me? Ta, can you hear me?
He's talking, but the network.
I just going out again.
Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. We lost you for a while.
Fluctuating.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, so if you can hear me now, let me say that we have a challenge with breeding of cattle in Nigeria, and for us to be able to breed the number that we need, the government need to lay emphasis in ensuring that our local farmers and investors are able to breed cattle to meet local demand. I also want to say, in Nigeria, when we look at the weight of a cattle in Nigeria is weighing 300 and something kilograms only, compared to what it is in Kenya. In Kenya, a cattle is weighing 700 to 1,000 kilograms, which shows that our feeding for cattle have an issue, have a problem. It is also noted that because of the long distance we take our cattle, they are not able to feed well, they are not able to also milk well. So there's a problem with the nutrition and the feeding of our cattle. And so we wish our government to be able to produce local feed and nutrition to take our cattle. In Kenya, a cow is able to over 50 liters, while in Nigeria, Nigerian cows are the worst in the whole world, according to Dawood Ogbe, the former Minister for Agriculture. And so, for us to be able to have cattle that will give us the local consumption demand, we will need to revamp the cattle feeding structure. Today, with the kind of weight that our cattle weigh, it means that there are no flesh in cattle. We have more than flesh in cattle in Nigeria. And something about that. When you look at it in Nigeria, going in education. There are not development plans for cattle in Nigeria, and so we have a challenge with development of strategic plan for cattle business in Nigeria, especially for our local farmers, our cooperative associations. And so because they have no good business plan, it is difficult for investors to buy into their business and support them grow their business. When you want to go into any value chain in the cattle business, there is what we call value chain analysis that help you know the benefits of what you are investing in. And we see, for those who are into cattle business, it is difficult for you to see a cattle rearer who has a business model and can tell you why he is into that value chain. And so we will need education at all levels to ensure that government and the people of Nigeria are working together to develop the value chain in Nigeria through education. When we want to talk about infrastructure, which is even more challenging, there are no infrastructures in Nigeria that will assist the value chain at all levels. In Nigeria today, you see, if you want to talk about standard infrastructure, you have to go to Ekiti State. It is only the Ekiti State government who has enough infrastructure and is supporting 11% of the milk we have in Nigeria. Total milk production in Nigeria. And so when we talk about the financing of the value chain, various value chain in Nigeria, it's even lacking. And so when there is incentive that supports development of this value chain, will see the business. And so we have been of rearing cattle. I reviewed Kenya and what Kenya is doing with regards to cattle rearing. And I saw that Kenya have moved from nomadic system of cattle rearing to ranching. And so I will encourage the business community, the investors community, and the government of Nigeria to support the cattle business in Nigeria to enable us move from the nomadic system of cattle rearing into ranching and the ruba, as the case may be. This will go a long way to attract young men and women in Nigeria to go into the cattle business. And it will enhance employment. It will enhance a lot of cattle, beef production, milk production, cheese production, and other products that are related to the cattle value chain. And this will go a long way to sustain our GDP and the economy of the nation. When you look at the value chain for cow, there is that we call transition as a very value chain for the cow business. It is unexploited because even locally, the meat transportation from the abattoir to the place consumed, which is the market, is transported through Okada with no sanitation and no hygiene. And so you to be a transport for the movement of cattle from Atua to the market will go a lot to provide employment and increase the health of the cow and enhance financing or finances to those who are running transport business in the cattle value chain. Let me say, as Sadiq mentioned, that the vaccine production factories in Nigeria are producing below expectation. And so we will need to add the value chain, cattle strong and is sustained and encouraged in Nigeria. Let me talk again again that in the area of capacity building of citizens and businessmen and women who are in the cattle value chain. A lot of those who run the cattle business have no understanding of how the business part of it is run. What they know is, I have a cattle, I give it food, and at the end I see. Improve the business, make it less. You know, in Nigeria, the cattle business is still like a family business. And so we need to change the cattle business from that are still like system farming for farmers to industrial cattle rearing processes, which I mentioned earlier as the ranches and the ruga. In Nigeria, we don't have very good abattoirs that help us to, help in, killing, processing, and distribution of cattle in Nigeria. And so investment in abattoir business will go a long way to help Nigeria and help our country sustain the cattle business. I want to stop to give the opportunity to contribute. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ta. Mr. Ta has enumerated a lot of concern, three areas where Nigeria has not, put enough energy into, and it's a place where government should come in, private sector should come in, and also give some incentives for people that are into that business. So, Mr. Sadiq, as a policy expert, what do you think government needs to do, or are there already some policy frameworks that are relating to the cattle value chain, or how do we get government or to go into to make policies that will, help to improve the value chain in Nigeria? Go ahead, Mr. Sadiq. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. We are all in it together, and we need to understand that over time, the structure on ground does not really recognize animal husbandry and cattle production as a major business model. There are no models for it. If you move around, I've been to the farm in Bomb. They have experimental farms. You can compare the cattle there and the one you see outside. In terms of weight, in terms of meat production, and in terms of feeding. See, all this framework, there's a Department of Livestock in the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, which I think is not doing enough. I've also been to Shonga in Kwara State. There's an experimental farm there, established by Governor Saraki when he was governor there, with the Zimbabwe farmers. They have cattle, they do strictly meat production and milk production. They are miles ahead of what we do in Nigeria. And I can tell you, mere visiting the place and looking at what they have in place, you know that this is a business that has a structure and is doing well. In fact, I learned that they supply ShopRite some of the products and do some others in terms of exportation. So for me, I think first and foremost, the government need to outline strategies to change the face of cattle production across the value chain. We also need to attract younger Nigerians and let them see that with government assistance and provision of basic infrastructures, these infrastructures were there even in the 60s. In Western region, there's an Akulu farm, Awolowo established. There was a farm, there was a ranch that was established in Ondo State, present in Ondo State by Western government. There were ranches all over the north. There is ranch in Manchok in Kaduna. There is also ranch in Mokwa, which was about one of the biggest. All these ones were abandoned. Cattle tax was a major revenue source for northern governments under the Sardauna. Today, nobody talks about cattle tax. When the idea of doing biometrics for cattle and numbering, providing database for cattle, Nigeria went haywire. Nigerians ignorantly felt that the government is doing too much for cattle business. Cattle business is a business that can change the game and the face of agriculture in Nigeria. It can do more than we think. Let me share a story with you. I had an uncle. He died recently. He's one of the monarchs in Lagos. He said in the 60s, when all of them were sent abroad to study, he went there to enjoy himself. He didn't really study, but he was a prince, he had money, was enjoying himself. When they were about coming back home, everybody had certificate to show, he had nothing to show. True life story. He said he moved around, somebody advised him, he went to study certificate course in animal husbandry and liarage. Liarage is the study of holding base in abattoirs for cattle. So when they came back to Nigeria, everybody got employed then. Employment was quite easy. Only him didn't get employed because there was nowhere he could work. But at the end of the day, he sat down and decided that, okay, he wanted to profit from what he studied. In Mushin, today, most people that come to that area will know him. He established his first abattoir. He said he buys only one cow a day. He has cows. They will kill and dismantle and sell. He said he never lacked money throughout the year. But this is somebody that most of the musicians in the Southwest have sang praises of. He said he always had money. All his friends, doctors, lawyers, engineers, always borrow money from him, from that business. So it takes me maximum of 1 hour in a day. So to tell you that the business is not only liquid, it's viable. And with modern technology, to get the younger Nigerians into this business and support them to take off. The dilemma of this country is that there are a lot of research institutes that have frameworks and models for business in Nigeria. Those institutes lack the capacity to come to town with what they have. Government does not establish the synergy between the private sector and those institutes. So we end up not being able to move forward. I also share an experience that I've had a stint at NIFRI in Kanji, Nigeria Institute of Freshwater Fisheries Research. You can't go there and look for employment after graduation. So there are so many of such institutes in Nigeria that we have not been able to put them together and draw the necessary funds and support to set up the younger elements to go into these businesses. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sadiq. So generally what you're saying is that Nigeria and the government is not taking the cattle business as a business for this country. A lot of us do not even understand that the business is useful to all of us in the country, and all of us can gain in one way or the other in the business. Ronke, having said that, can you help to put to give us like a perspective? The country is divided into regions, and mostly this cattle is mostly around the northern part of Nigeria. That's mostly their business, and they normally move down to south in order to get grass and water sometimes in the dry seasons. Can you just give us a perspective? How can, like, the north central area where you have grass, how can they, benefit from the east and the west? How can they benefit from this cattle value chain?
Oh, thank you very much. I want to look at it. I want to give you a preamble of I talked about this what I call the documentation that I watched of recent, and how it has really like broadened my perspective about this value chain and this ranking of a thing. Now, looking at it, let me even divert a little from your question, talking about this documentation that I talked about, the documentary that I watched. Now, I have found out that they were just a group of friends that came together to do this business. And what they did was each of them knew their strength. They knew where they really wanted to be in the business. One that had just the cattle and was interested in the cattle, and the one that really wanted, as in, that is into the milking, and apart from the milking, there's the cheese, the butter, and the ghee. I won't want to forget about that. You know, there is this product that they call it manshanu. That's what the outside call it, which is very, very, very nutritious. You all know what manshanu is, and I will be using it. In fact, it has another value itself. I don't want to go into that sincerely, because when I went into it, we are really, really far back in this country. And now what these friends did was to go into that, as in the one that was interested in the milk was interested in the milk, that was interested in the beef was interested in the beef, the one that was interested in the hide was taking his own part out of it. Then what they were now doing was having these grasses. We all know how our seasons are. There is the rainy season and all what have you. Now, having to have people, the farmers that really needed the don't to, but these grasses, there are irrigations being made for them, that they will have enough grasses to season in, season out. They're not lacking in it. Now, the only aspect I'm looking at is now let me look back to all the various regions of the country. We have we have many things to control. We have many things to gain. If we all say each of these regions should have branches, or we have other things that we need to get from this business, since everything is what I call it as is really domesticated in the north, for which we can get something out of it. But we can always have all the heights that we want, like my people, we like to know very well. We can't take that away from them. But there are other things that are into it too that we can get from it. So what am I saying in essence is, because these regions can easily come in one way or the other. If it's for them to build their own ranches, let's not hide away from these ranches. Yes, we're both looking at it as in Ruga, but let's get away from the word Ruga. Can we just call them ranches? They're thematics. Let's call them ranches. Let's build those ranches and see how we can benefit from it. The farmers benefit from the benefits for you to give back. Like I was giving an example of how the farmers in my area alone. There's a Fulani settlement close to me there here. And what they do, like this is the time of the rainy season. What they do is they get the cattle to come and stay on the farm. They come there, they do all their dumps, they pull on it and all that. Then after their farming and all that, stocks, the corn stalks and all that are being gathered and given back to this Fulanis to feed the cattle. So you find out that they are both getting, they're both having one thing or the other to eat. So there are more that we can learn from this, and more that we can benefit if only we can all come together and see the benefits in it. Let's not shy away from it that no, it's just a Fulani man. No, this business is for everybody. We can all get one thing or the other from it. So what if we can set up this cattle, let's look at where we have our strength. What do we really want from it? What can we get? What can we benefit? If it's one that is into milk, then you know that it is the milk we are really interested in. Fine. It can be what I call it a conglomerate. They want to set up, and let's get what we really want from it, and start having the benefit from it. I want to look at that. Yes, the government too has. I don't want to dispute the fact that the government doesn't have any aspect to this. But sincerely, for how long do you want to sit down and wait for the government? They have so many headaches. the government is interested in having they want us to go into agriculture. Let's move away from the petroleum resources and all that. But I think it's about time even we, the followers, need to stand up and start thinking of what we need for ourselves. How long can we wait for the government to start telling us this is how they want it? Yes, we want them to set up policies. Like if they cannot get themselves together to set up these policies, I think it's about time we start getting what we want for ourselves. So I want to look at it in a different school of thought entirely, that I think we, the followers ourselves, we need to stand up and do something for ourselves. We can't sit and wait for the government. If the government don't know what they want for us, we know what we want for ourselves. I've been into this research for a very long time, and I found out that there's so much we need to gain from it. We can't sit and lay our hands and wait for the government to help us out. Let's set up branches. Let's look at what the benefits. We'll just outline all those benefits. What can we gain from it? How can we help ourselves in it? The government have not really gained, and well, I mean, the citizens have not really known what we want. But if we know, we need to get more. And before we know what is going on, I think the government will now look back and see that yes, there are more to it. They've told us that we should go back to farming. There are all sorts of farming, and cattle is a multi-million naira, we call it a million naira sitting down that we have not even gotten to. How do we go into it? We can't keep waiting for the government, please. Let's not wait for this government. Let's sit up and do something for ourselves. Let's have people, just have your friends together. What do you think? I know of women, I know market women that are going to just the cows. Their business is just cows. They get these cattle, they just sell them, they sell those cows out to people. They give them, you get there, you buy your cow. They can even send them up when you want them. So there are so many things that you see some people gathering up and they say they're waiting for, they want to have, they are contributing money just to buy cow and for the end of the year. And they started right from January. So you that you have a cattle, you have cattle, heads of cattle there. You have, that's a business for you. Now you just get the money and somebody's contributing money every month. Going to get the cattle that is going to eat at Christmas time, or one festival time or the other. So please, we need to do something. Every region has something to contribute. Has something to contribute. The North has something to learn. Has something to gain. South has something to gain. The West has something to gain from all this.
Thank you so much, Ronke, for this exposure. I think I was having a discussion with Mr. Tar, and he brought in a very interesting perspective about how each of the regions can do it, especially if we decide to cage the cows in the north, where we have a lot of land, a lot of space there, and then each region we were discussing. Can you bring that into perspective again, Mr. Tar? And you may want to adjust your camera a little because it's cutting off your head.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to contribute. What we have looked at consistently, we have said that for us to stop the conflict as much as possible that we have currently in Nigeria, when we have ranches in Nigeria, and we know that during the dry season, we may not have enough grasses in the north, can our farmers in the middle belt support the north grasses and make grass, healthy grasses as a business? I remember former Minister Awudobe wanted to import grasses into Nigeria, but it was a challenge to a lot of people. But I know we did it. The middle belt, make production as a business for the cows in the north. If that is possible, then you will see that the movement of cows from the north to the south and trespassing into farmland and all that will reduce minimally. Secondly, I also believe very strongly that when that happens, the people in the east will very, very involved in the marketing of the cow and the cattle all over Nigeria and outside Nigeria. We were very conscious when we were saying this. We said that we are able to see the cattle business as a commercial business, as a multi-million business, as Ronke mentioned. We will be able to share the value chain across the north and west, and we will go a long way to reduce internal conflict. I know from research that a cattle in the US takes over 100 liters of water.
Yeah.
But I also know that a cattle in Nigeria may not get up to 1 or 2 liters of water a day. And so water infrastructures are very, very important business in Nigeria, especially in northern. The highest number of cattle, Kaduna and Kano. Too stable at this to begin to look at pilots, sustainable projects. Every other person who want to go into cattle rearing will come and start on how to go build one. And so that will go a long way to reduce the level of hatred, pain that we hear every day that cattle is causing. And it will enhance unity of the state. Let me also say that I know very strongly that if the government of Nigeria is ready, the private sector is one of the best community, and they will support the Nigerian government in building some. That it will surprise you to note that the CBN, that domestically Nigeria produced between 2014 and 2016, or 2014 to 2018, Nigeria was producing over 641,000 tons of milk. These have grown rapidly. That the gap between what we are producing in Nigeria and the demand for milk in Nigeria today is over 943,000 tons. And so when you look at what we are producing and what we need as a nation, there is a gap of 302 more thousand tons of milk that this nation needs. What a business. What a place to invest. What a place to take over and make Nigeria self-sufficient. I was also made to understand that yearly and annually, Nigeria spends as much as $1.2 billion to $1.5 billion in the importation of milk, source CBN. And so if we spend 1.something billion milk importation, and we know that milk is something that we can internally produce, if we have the right infrastructure and the right investment, then the business is there for Nigerian investors, Nigerian businessmen to go into. I want to say also that I'll let you understand that when you come into Nigeria, you know that milk is produced in Nigeria. There are those who produce as locals. You know, we call it Nunu in Nigeria. Percentage less than 1% are the ones Nunu. And the other one they do is called the local word cheese. In Hausa they call it wara. This is not helping the economy because it is not rich. Okay. It ends up in the street, it ends up in compound. It's impossible for for us to also modernize, improve the local milk called Nono and the local cheese, and improve the way it is made for us to get a market for it locally. So the local women from their home, they can earn an income from it. Now let me also let you understand, the research has it that the Nigerian government have no models, no project, no private sector involvement. I heard from the source, CBN, that the CBN made available and so enticing opportunities for those who want to invest. But the money is lying down there, no one wants to pick it up. The state governments, the private sectors have been given opportunity to use these funds. I was made to that is Vitas and very further foreign investors making use of these funds. What are we doing as Nigerians? Should we continue to make cattle a place where we will cover, or we should use cattle as a place where we will learn ourselves? I will not, if I don't quote the Minister for Agriculture, where he said that the earlier Nigerian farmers start developing ranches for cows, the better it is for the cattle market and for the value chain in Nigeria. End of quote.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ta, for that exposure. Actually, the next question I was supposed to ask you was how will the private sector come in? But it looks like you have, from the initial question, you went into it and even talked so much about how the private sector and even individuals can, take advantage of this. We spent like 51 minutes already on this talk, and I would like to maybe ask somehow the last question before we get conclusions from each one of us. And I want to ask Mr. Sadiq, the role of cooperatives in, getting businesses like this off the ground cannot be overemphasized. I know about a cooperative in Kenya, I think Kenya or somewhere like that, where they, go around to pick up milk from farms, and then they have a processing plant where they process it. First of all, they get the raw materials for free. They pay later, and then the farmers also, apart from getting payment for their own milk, they also get some percentages of the profits from the company after all the butter, the milk, and whatever is sold. How do you think Nigerian cooperatives can take advantage of this cattle value chain in order to make it proliferate it within the country? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. You have hinted on another area that we are not doing well. In the area of cooperative formation and development, we're not doing well as a nation. The system or the government has made it so easy for a group of people to come together to form cooperatives. Legislation is done at the local government level. And you have a company as a cooperative, you come together, you pool resources, money, and expertise, and you can be engaged in any sector of the economy. This country has 3 cooperative institutions spread all over the country. One in Kaduna, one in Ibadan, another one in Enugu, for cooperative studies and development. But you hear of cooperative only hear of illiterate traders coming together. These are the areas where we, the so-called elites and middle-class Nigerians, can pool resources, come together, take advantage of government policies, take advantage of finances available within the banking sectors for long-term development. Ranching is a viable business, and there are models all over the world that we can learn from. We could emphasize cooperatives and empower them with access to funds and support of basic infrastructures by the government to come together, put resources and expertise, and participate in this vital sector. The old idea of pushing cattle all over the place, cattle routes and the thereabouts, is no more sustainable. So the only way is ranching. That's the way to go. And there are fantastic opportunities here. Records available. Like Southwest alone consume 10,000 head of cattle every day. Lagos State 5,000 head of cattle a day. So there is huge market within the nation. We know we're not doing well enough to export, but the domestic market is worth it. I knew of persons from Lagos who come all the way to the north to buy and transport down. They have the skills. They do fastening, which is a major industry in Ethiopia and Botswana. You engage in fastening the cattle and you sell at the right time. All these things are backed with know-how. But Nigerians have been unable to get the teeming population to key into this sector. And I pray that we get it right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We spent like 56 minutes already. I just want to call on Ronke to give us her final words while we close this, before it becomes very boring to people. Let them think about what we say. Well, there's lots of stuff.
This last question you just threw about this cooperative started bringing up a lot in my mind. I think we'll keep it for another episode, sincerely, because it has just blown my mind for so many ideas have just come up. But I think we'll keep it for another time. But from all what we have said so far, it just boils down to one thing: that there is so much for us to earn, so much for us to gain from this cattle value chain that I think they have just been left there, aside just the meat, because we all are interested in the meat and all that, but there are so many things, to the milk, to the cheese, to the hides for fashion and all that, even to the hooves, to the blood, and all. There's so much for us to get. So I just hope that we will not. I still am of the opinion. I don't think we can wait for the government. Sincerely, if individuals can come up, just like we have in the cooperative, come up and start thinking of ways to move up and get money into our pockets, I think we can do it, and we will get it done. So I feel that we all just start moving on, because there are so much to earn. And just looking at it, I look at it that from the financial sector, definitely your cattle will stand as your guarantee and all that, your collateral for you to be able to even get something. So why not, if we can just go in there and stop waiting, for goodness sake, we can't wait for the government. That's my stand. Thank you
for that, those final words. Mr. Ta, probably you can just give us also your final words. We just have a few like 2 minutes to go. We have 1 or 2 questions here that we're going to answer.
Nigeria, it is time for us to fight over the cattle business and not to fight over it. There is so much to gain through the cattle business if it is done constructively. If we have regulations that guides the way the cattle business is run, There's so much for us all to gain from it, and I hope and believe strongly that together as a nation, we can make things work and bring back to the line of peace and bring this line of cattle, gold mine for Nigeria. Let's tap it effectively. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I would like to call on Mr. Sadiq now. However, before your final words, or while you're talking about your final words, somebody in the chat window said, this I would want the discussants to address the financial aspect of setting up ranches. Our governments have turned it into politics, and the average herdsman or herdsmen are not organized enough to set up ranches. So in essence, how can government really organize finances for for ranches? Because mostly the herdsmen are not so organized. They don't form themselves into cooperatives and so on. So they even though there is funding, like Tar said earlier, it will be difficult for them to have access to it. So while talking about the final words, you can just add this to it.
Okay, thank you very much. One of the things we just need to do, we are all in this together. We must ensure that the government come up with a framework that can unite the government institutions, the financing from the financial sector, and the private business people. We must have a tripartite agreement, because all the research is going on in the research institutes without being publicized, without being made available to the private sector and financing options. These things can't work. So we need to bring those three key elements to the table. Look at what the Kano State government was trying to do. It was trying to profit from these challenges. Ganduje announced that all elders should come to Kano, and is providing places and enabling environment for ranching. So states and local government can key into this too, just like private sector individuals can also do. Even you can charge others who come to use your facilities, because the key here is being able to provide enough feeding, enough water, and the ambience, the environment for the animals to prosper, to develop. It's a very viable business. In less than 1-2 years, the cows are ripe for sale, and it brings in good money. Even on the private note, every seller, I buy cow, I share with 3 other people, 4 of us. It's always extremely very cost saving. For 4 people, you buy a cow, you share it, and you get more than 2 rams can even give you. So, but we must continue to preach these new opportunities, because in every challenge we have, there are opportunities that will come from it. So we need to key in, and we need to key in with all the support of the government structure, the finance structure, and the private sector know-how. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I want to thank you so very much for making this strategic leadership roundtable a very big success. We had a lot of guests that came in and went out. I hope that the subsequent ones are going to be as interesting as this one that we had. We encourage people that are watching us to join us. They can contact us to inform us if there's any topic that they're interested in that we're hosting that they want to discuss. The idea is to see how we can give suggestions to the policymakers, government, communities, and so on, even individuals, to be able to get good information, so that we can develop this country and make it better. I thank you so much for being here. Ronnie, thank you very much. Ta, thank you very much. Mr. Sadiq, thank you very much. And my humble self, Dr. Dominic Guaman, I thank you. Oh, let me not also forget, the technology was provided by StreamYard. I would also want to recognize the technology, very wonderful technology. Their logo is there by the side. If you want to use it, you could also use it for yourself. Thank you so much, and let's have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's been a
Thank
fantastic
you.
session.